everybody, and welcome to another episode of In the Kitchen with Lisa. I'm personal chef Lisa Spampinato, and today it's all about zucchini. Well, it's summertime, so everybody's got a bunch of these either grown in their garden or given to them by their neighbors and their friends. And I am just like all the rest of you. I've got quite a bunch here. So I'm going to do two recipes for you today. The first one is an egg frittata, which is basically eggs made on the stove and then put in the oven, so it looks like a big pie. And we're going to use some zucchini and some black forest ham and some smoked Gouda and some herbs and seasonings and maybe some onions. Second recipe is one of my kids' favorites, and they beg me for it all the time, and it's a zucchini muffin. And the reason why they love it is because I put chocolate chips in it. So that's okay. Why don't we go ahead and get started with the frittata first, and then while that's baking, we can get started on the muffins because those are quick. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and start with cutting up actually my ham and my smoked Gouda and setting that aside, and then we'll cut up the veggies. So I've got some black forest ham from the deli here, and I'm just really going to give it a rough chop. Run my knife through it, and break it up a little bit so it'll spread up throughout the frittata a lot easier. And you know what, if you don't have ham, if you don't like ham, you can substitute bacon or smoked turkey if you want. It's really just about what you like, what you have in your kitchen, what's quick and easy. Okay. That's the great thing about a frittata, is that you can use up a bunch of leftovers that you may have in your fridge too. Okay. And the smoked Gouda is a really nice complement to the ham and the fresh zucchini. It's got a nice smoky yet creamy feel and taste and texture. And it melts great. Just going to cut up a few more pieces, and then we'll move on to the veggies. While I'm doing this, I'm just going to tell you that I've already gone ahead and beat up my eggs. I abused the eggs already. I've got about 15 eggs in here, large eggs that I've already mixed up and whipped up pretty well. And when we're ready, I'm just going to add some milk to it and some salt and pepper and maybe a little granulated garlic just to get a little bit of flavor. So super easy, no big thing. Okay, so now we've got our mix-ins ready. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and just slice up my zucchini, and I'm going to cut the ends off here. Okay, and I think what I'm going to do is halve it. Otherwise, I'm going to have some really big chunks of zucchini. Too big, I think. See, that's pretty wide, so, okay. And I'm just going to, again, run my knife through it, but I'm going to try and make these kind of thin so that they'll cook up quick. And if you have a mandolin, which is one of those sliding slicers that you want to use, if that's quicker for you, go for it. I just didn't feel like getting another piece of equipment out. And you can see as I get to the end, it's getting a little bit wider there. So if you think it's getting too wide, you can just cut it again and then just continue slicing. And what we're going to do is we're going to cook these first because zucchini gives off a lot of water. And if you just throw them in your eggs, they're going to make your eggs runny and it won't set properly. So you want to cook them first, and you're going to get a little flavor out of them. Mix them in with the onions. So it's a little extra step, but it's definitely worth it. And again, you know what? If you don't like onion, leave it out. You can put mushrooms in. Use shallots. They're a little bit more mild than the onion and maybe a little bit more sweet. So you know what? It's really all about, again, what you like. That's the beauty of cooking, is you can do what you want. All right. Okay, now I've got my eggs here, so I'm just going to finish getting those prepped for you. And what I'm going to do is add a little bit of milk. And again, it's just an estimate. It's to your liking. I'm going to add some granulated garlic. It's roasted granulated garlic, so it's got a lot of flavor in there. A little bit of ground black pepper. Okay. And a little bit of salt. Okay, good. Gonna give that a good mix. Okay. Let it set, and then I'm gonna come over to my stove with my veggies and get those going. So So I've got my pan screaming hot. I'm going to add a little olive oil to it. And in go the veggies. Okay. And we're going to get those sauteing just a little bit. Let them melt down, and now I'll lower my heat just a little bit. And add a little salt for seasoning and to help everything give up all its water. A little pepper, unless you want to season it as you go. It's great that we season the eggs, but we have to season the veggies too. And a little granulated garlic. It's my favorite, best thing to use. Okay. Mix that all up. Let it go. So as you can see, we've got our zucchini and our onions all getting nice and brown and toasty in there. So I'm going to go ahead and remove them now from the pan, and then we'll pour the eggs in. So I'm going to put a little more oil in here, not much because there's still plenty left in there. And we're going to go ahead, give our eggs a quick little mix, and get them in there. And again, this is 15 eggs, but this is a really big pan, so you don't have to necessarily make it that big. And the trick to not burning your eggs is to move them around your pan until they start to set. Just like you would scrambled eggs, just not so fast, that's all. So I'll keep scraping up the bottom, and that way more of the egg can get to the bottom of the pan and cook. So that by the time you're ready to put this in the oven, the bottom's pretty much cooked. The oven is just finishing off the top and part of the inside. I don't know if you guys can see this, but just from moving around the eggs in the pan, you can see how it's cooking. So I think we're at the point where I'll give it a couple more rounds, and we're going to start adding our ingredients here. Okay, and I've lowered the heat on here so that the bottom doesn't burn. Okay, so let's add in our zucchini and onion mixture. Kind of get that spread around in there. And this is going to make it look really rustic and pretty and hearty and homey. Yum. Okay. And then we'll add some of our ham. It's like making an egg pizza, kind of, sort of. Okay. And some of our smoked Gouda, which somebody said is like the bacon of cheese. Yum. Get it all melty and ooey gooey. Okay. And our oven, which is set to 350, is now ready for our frittata. Okay, I'm going to put this right in the oven, and I'm going to remember when I remove it to use a pot holder so I don't burn my hand.